I'm glad you made an exception. All right, it's a late night crypto and rum. I'm gonna keep the music kind of going in the background here, so y'all get to listen to Doge-wave with me. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? All right. Well, I'm looking at a bunch of stuff, so you guys are gonna have to hang out with me while I'm looking at stuff for the first time. I got my son down. Let me check on him. Yeah, he's asleep. He's asleep now. This is totally unstructured late night. Got my son down. Poured myself a glass of, this is my favorite rum. My favorite rum, John Watling's Buena Vista. I'm drinking that tonight since we had an all-time high breakout. The all-time high nights, I pull out a good rum here. All right, 1 second. Got to send a message. All right. Can y'all hear the music? It's not distracting. Let's see here. What do you think about MATIC? Yes, music, please. Can y'all hear the music okay? Is it too loud? Not too loud? Let me turn this up. Turn this down over here. Let me know if it's distractingly loud or if it's okay, because I have no idea what the volume is like on your end. Cheers. Unexpected breakouts. I think a lot of us were totally expecting a breakout, by the way, but yeah, that's nice. Well, I mean, coming back here, we were watching the consolidation. It broke out pretty fast. It got there pretty fast, but it did. And all things considering, this is pretty healthy, right? So we came up, broke a new all-time high right over here, right? Was it on the 20th? And then consolidated for a while here. Good normal consolidation, and then a breakout to the upside. So we got a short squeeze on our hands here. It might last a couple of days. The big thing is to figure out where the top is. We all know it's going to pull back, right? Everybody and their dog knows it's going to pull back. It's going to make a breakout. It's going to do a little bit of a short squeeze, and then it's going to pull back. And let me kill my messages. Sorry, kill my Discord. You know, keep hearing that ding in the background. So everybody knows it's going to pull back. My thesis has been, I was kind of thinking, okay, it looked like, see this 20-day moving average you got here in purple? The 20-day is my like super twitchy when I'm kind of on edge about something, especially when I have really, really large leverage trades on. Honestly, I watch this level pretty carefully. And you see here we had a false breakdown. It closed below it, came back up. We hit this 61.5 and broke down here. So right here, I actually sold. I had a full-size leverage trade on. I actually sold, I think there was a trend line or something I was watching. As we broke down here, as we bounced back up into this resistance, the 61.550, I sold some of my leverage right there. And then, of course, it's been nothing but green straight up since then. I did get back in. I told my Discord channel, see this right here? I got in there and I bought this retest here. So I got in about 60% of what I'd sold. And I just bought the rest right here, 67,000 as we broke out. So that was my last little bit on. But stop loss is now in profit up here somewhere, I think right under here. Basically, when it breaks the all-time high like this, it needs to break and run. If it retreats, that's the sell-off. So everybody's gonna expect a sell-off. So we expect it to pop and then sell off. My expectation is between $70,000 and $80,000. I'll share with you why I think that. Let's just throw a fib. You can kind of see the obvious impulse here, and then the downside. So we're right into the very first resistance right now, post breakout, because of right above the 382 is at 67.7. That's what we're into right now. I think we're going to get to the 0.05 at least, which is 70,833, and then maybe turn around. The hope is we make it all the way to 84K. So the reason I say that, and let me check the live stream here. Volume, is volume good? Music good? Comments on ADA? Absolutely. Music is level is good. Thank you. All right, thanks. All right. So the reason I say that is, here's the thing. I posted on Twitter, you know, just being cautious because this could be another Wyckoff distribution. We had, if I zoom out over here, you can see the beginning of the symmetry. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to play out like that. We have no clue. We had this first peak here, a pullback, a significant breakout, and then a pullback, and then a third top, right? So we could start to see the formation of this. And if we only get to 70K, that's right about where we're expecting. That 0.05 fib extension level is exactly about where I'm expecting. Let's do the same exercise over here. You can see this impulse, right? It only made it to the 618 in this case, it looks like, before it pulled back. It didn't make it all the way up, but that was the 618. Yeah, so this would be the 0.5. So it made it to the 618, which would be 74,000. So this second breakout made it to the 618 level of this measured move here. But if we get to like the 0.5 and start to roll over, the problem with that is that we're starting to form this formation over here. There's a bunch of other things I'm looking at. But if we make it all the way up to 84,000, well, the thesis that we're going to hit 84,000 and then pull back to the prior all-time high, that's the roadmap we're looking at. So the roadmap is either we hit 70,000 or so and then come back to the 50-day moving average down here. It's probably by that time going to be 50. You know, it might be coming up to this 58.8 low. It's above 58.8, isn't it? Wow. Is the 50-day 55? 8 is the 50-day? Yeah, okay. All right, so 55.8. Well, why is it? It shouldn't be that high on this chart. I don't know what's going on. This says it's 58.8, and the 50-day is 55.8. Why is the 50-day, which should be 55.8, above 58.8? Am I drinking too much rum? What is going on? Anyway. Point is, if we hit this level first and then pull back, it's probably coming all the way back to the 50-day moving average, which is about, like you see this here, it's the exact pattern. It came pretty close to 50-day. So, and then it's going to start this possible distribution. What we're hoping for is that because of the strong on-chain, is we're hoping that we're actually more over here. We're hoping that this breakout looks like this. We want it to break out and run. Sorry. We might, you know, pull back to the prior all-time high and then blast off. That's what we want it to. We want it to break out big, run, pull back maybe to the prior all-time high or just above, and then blast off. That's what we want. And then we start this pattern, right? So we have a much bigger run ahead of us potentially. Anyway, so I'm just kind of looking for signs as to what might be happening. Really, what I'm looking for is I want to catch the move back to it's 52, 58.8. Okay, this is much better. So the September swing high was 52.9. Which we're now, the 50-day is now retaken that significantly, or is now significantly above that. So we're looking at probably the March monthly close. The monthly high close in March is over here at 58.8. If we get a run to 70,800 or so, and then a significant pullback, it can come back as far as 58.8 still, right? And then still bounce and continue up, but. We're looking at a potential distribution pattern if that were to play out. Now, I think, honestly, the other thing about this is, I'm saying this, and I'm going, with this pullback was steeper than this pullback. So, you know, I just don't know. I'm not a Wyckoff expert. I'm not going to try to predict that. But this is just what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a pullback to the 50-day moving average regardless of any sort of, you know, distribution patterns or anything else. I just... the bull market likes to break out and then pull back to the 50-day. What we're hoping is we get all the way up to 80K, and then by then the 50K is up here close to the all-time high, and then we get that pullback, you know, right at about 68,000, just above the prior all-time high, and then blast off again, right? So we're just really looking for what's our potential upside, potential downside, so forth and so on. Manage trades, manage active trades. If you're hodling, you can ignore a lot of this noise, right? I'm really talking to people who are actively trading on leverage when I'm talking about these levels and things. If you're just hodling, just enjoy the ride, because it is my opinion that if you're a Bitcoin hodler, you should only sell when the market forces you to sell. That's on a parabolic top, which we have not really honestly seen. You shouldn't sell your core hodl bag. This is pretty close. I mean, this was a pretty parabolic move. You know, selling some here was probably warranted, but at the end of the day, you really should only sell when you have a huge move like this, when you go from 10,000 to 65,000 in a few months. If we go from 40,000, which would be kind of the local low down here, you know, before the blast off, 40,000 or so, up to 400,000 or something crazy, then you should sell a little bit, right? The market maybe make you on that parabolic move, but if you're a hodler, you know, you don't want to sell your Bitcoin willy-nilly. Yeah, so you can ignore a lot of this noise about all this interim trading stuff. All right, let's look at comments. Ada, greetings to the moon. Good times. Wouldn't it be silly to engineer the exact... Yeah, so to be clear, I've been saying very clearly, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a potential rolling top early next year that doesn't look like this rolling top. A different look. And it's not going to look exactly like this. If that were to happen, that would be way too predictable. You're right. That's exactly what I've been saying. It's going to be unpredictable. I don't know that we get what everybody's hoping for, and I'm hoping for it too. I'm not gonna. Trust me, I've got more than enough invested in this that I'll be happy if we get some kind of crazy, pull back. See, it would look like this, right? Ultimately, it looks something like this, and then it would just go, insane. The chart would look like this if it did what some people who are predicting end of the year. It would look like that. If we did that, I'm not going to complain, but, I'm not looking for that. What I'm looking for is something that looks more like this, right? I took a fractal this last rolling top and I moved it over into next year, right? I'm looking for something that looks totally different than this, but a similar pattern where it's a series of false breakouts of some type and max wreckage of the market, right? So, I would not be surprised if we put in, big move here, downside, pretty big move into early December, lower than what people think, maybe 100-something thousand, and then a big sell-off in late December that, takes a lot of people out back to the 80s or something. People think it's over. That was the end of the year pump, and then early next year it just blasts right back off, and we're off to new levels. And maybe a 3 drives pattern. I'm looking like maybe something. I mean, I don't know that was what it would be, of course. This is just a theory, right? A theory is we kind of take off here. We do this double pump late into this year. Have a pretty big sell off at the end of December that makes people think that was the peak. The December peak, and we're done. And then in January, we kind of blast back off, make a really significant high, and then another really significant high, and then a smaller high, and then we come back down, right? Something that looks like this makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe, it's a pseudo blow off top, but a 3 drives pattern where it's not super predictable, where the first drive is well below the second drive, and the third drive is not much bigger than the third drive. That would probably throw a lot of people for a loop. So just looking for I'm just spitballing what might happen. I don't know if we get a blow off top at the end of the year. Here's the thing: when crypto's in price discovery, I have a very very simple and straightforward tested system of buying into before the breakout, and then if I'm in a position before a breakout, I have a system around how to take profits when a parabolic top starts to occur. I have a whole system around how do I manage that parabolic top, right? So that's what I'll be using to exit the top, regardless of what we get. And these driving patterns are perfect for me. My best trading of the year was back over here on this driving pattern. This whole driving pattern was like, I was slaying the trades on this because it was doing exactly what I want. Big up thrust. When I saw the cooling down happened, I'd trim positions. When I saw it come back up, I'd add back to my positions. So I'd get, maybe I'm out over here, buy back over here. Now, it's not a huge difference, but these are leveraged trades, right? These are largely leveraged trades. So I'm printing money out of thin air. And then enter a new position, see it cooling off, exit, back in, and, riding my spot the whole time. And, the strategy around these rolling tops really is the moving averages, right? When we start to lose these moving averages, that tells me to start trimming spot, or a tradable spot anyway. It depends on the price levels. But you get the idea. So I don't. It's not going to look just like this. If it looked just like that, would be way too predictable, way too easy. I'm looking for the market to make it difficult on us. As of right now, it's easy on us. This is super easy. We're at all-time high breakout. There's not much to do other than to watch this breakout and see where it takes us, and then be on guard as we come into these levels. The strategy that I use is a very simple momentum-based strategy. I draw this breakout trend line. So we had this nice little consolidation here from this low to that right there. That's my initial breakout trend line. What I look for is I look for it to hit resistance and start to roll over. If it starts to roll over and it gives me a confirmation of the downside, then I start to trim, right? I only start to trim. I don't maybe take the whole thing off unless it's like way up here. Now, if Bitcoin were to right now just parabolically go insane and go straight to $169,000, this is where I start to sell. Way up here. If we just go straight up, that's where I would just blindly start to just, okay, I'm just selling. I'm just going to start dumping everything because this is insane. We're off the chart, so forth and so on. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm getting pinged. Sorry, I'll be right back. I'm having technical difficulties. I got to. Sorry about that interruption. All right, let's get to questions now that I'm back. All right. Let's do no copy. Let's amp up the music here. This one's a little bit more active. Nighttime, late nighttime music. All right, let's go to questions. So I went on a little bit of a rant there, but you guys get the idea, right? It's always protecting your downside. I'm actively trading leverage, so just understand a lot of what I'm doing, a lot of the stuff I post is really for really active traders. You know, if you're a hodler, you can just kind of ignore it. All right, loop ring already pumped, man. Yeah, I don't have the same, so just so y'all know, I mean, I'm gonna be transparent. I had a really big hodl bag back before the big collapse. Where was our summer? Yeah, so Alan and I started building hodl bags somewhere over here. I have no idea where. And then we both got out. It was on this big move. We both got out here on this one of these pumps to break even. And as things started to roll over, we got out. Right, so we were totally out of our bags over here. So our big bags that we had, or I did anyway. I don't know about Alan, but I had a pretty big, sizable bag that I started to build up over here on these dips, and then I ended up getting out when everything rolled over. So now what I had left for this big pump was just a very small portion, like less than 1% of my position. So it's nice to see it pumping. I mean, it's great. I guess my whatever position I had on was probably in the 30-cent range. So this is a nice move for LRC. But yeah, I don't have the same big bag that I used to have, unfortunately, for that one. What we got here? So LRC is going. Good times. What exchange do you use to trade? I'm not a fan of Kraken. I'm on KuCoin. There's a lot of good coins available, a lot of tools. I've got margin and they've got futures and all kinds of stuff. So everything you need, lots of coins. Phil USD. Somebody's asking about ADA, or let me start at the top here. Do you just have one child? I do have one little boy. Yep. He's gonna be 2 this month. What do you think about MATIC? Little technical discussion analysis on MATIC, USD and KuCoin. Yeah, so KF, if you're still out there with us, MATIC is one of my hodl bags. So I hold MATIC long term. But yeah, I first covered MATIC. I did a video on it. If you want to go back, early January. Yeah, over here. January 3rd or 4th of 2021, I did a video. So at the time, I put this on log scale because this is crazy. This chart is crazy over here. I did a video over here when it was like 2 cents. Yeah, it was maybe like, it maybe just moved a little bit. No, it was over here. Anyway, point is, this is when Ethereum was starting to have really high gas fees, and that was like a big topic. People were talking a lot about the gas fees on Ethereum. And so I did a video, and I was talking about how to profit. There's a video, if you go find it, it's called How to Profit from Ethereum Gas Fees, or Ethereum Scaling Issues, How to Profit, I think was the name of the video. And I talked about MATIC, loopring, synthetics, and maybe one other project, I forget what. But yeah, I talked about the biggest plays, and MATIC was my number one. And so we started building positions in MATIC at 2 cents. So I still have on a little bit of this that I bought over here. So I sold most of it actually way too early over here at, like, this is on log now. So anyway, technical discussion. So yeah, we sold too early over here when it started to look like it was rolling over. I sold 30-something cents, a big portion of it, and I had to buy back in up here at 75 cents. I don't even remember how that all went down. But then I ended up selling most of it over here at like $2, right? And then now I still have on like what was like a tenth of this position over here that it was on at 2 cents is what I still have. But yeah, it's a long term. I just kind of hang on to what I built up over here. It was a huge win, one of the biggest wins of the year. It started out as a really small position, but when you 100x, it gets pretty big pretty fast. What was I going to say about MATIC? I mean, it's a layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum. It's one of the main ones. We built bigger positions in loopring earlier this year. So I had a small bag on MATIC and a bigger bag on loopring. And then when everything started to turn over at the end of alt season 2, I sold most of my loopring and I have a small bag on it. So, but MATIC I have a much bigger position on all in all than loopring still to this day. So it's a really good. I mean, it's the main layer 2 scaling solution. The reason we went bigger on loopring was there was a lot of hype at the time around BNB, and a few of the other exchange coins like KuCoin were pumping too, because of the Coinbase IPO. And so I kind of thought, okay, a layer 2 scaling solution and a DEX combined, because it's a layer 2 scaling solution that's focused on the DEX part of it, right? A layer 2 scaling DEX would do really well in this environment, and it some reason didn't break out until now. I don't really know why, but MATIC was the number one play that I highlighted like in January 2nd. If you go find that video, that was the number one thing I said to buy way back then to profit from the Ethereum scaling issues. And sure enough, it's been a good 100x investment. So I think that's probably worth buying into. How long do you plan to hold ADA? Thank you. Some of it forever. But I mean, again, ADA is one of those things I built most of my position at 9 to 12 cents over here, from like late last year. Sold, a good 50+% of it at 230 over here somewhere. 230. And then bought a little bit back at $1 and sold, again, most of it, a good 50% of what I had back, or what I have in total, at $3 to rotate, right at $3 actually, to rotate it over to Outrun. So what I have left is about 10%. This position over here, I have 10% left of the position I built over here left in Cardano. So if that gets to something crazy like $10, I'll sell, another 50%. But otherwise, I'll just hang on to it to the bear market. I've already made ridiculous profits on it, so it's sitting in my cold wallet, staked, collecting, staking rewards. So I don't have any real reason to ever sell it, honestly. But I will add a new position. You see it starting to break out. Really, to answer that question, what I'm about to buy, because it's on my top. If you look at, I did let's see here. I just posted this little kind of celebratory tweet about my Litecoin trade. But underneath that, my top 4 trades, Litecoin first, then I plan to rotate into Link here pretty soon. Link is starting to look strong, and then ADA, and then at some point we'll see about Steller if it's got a good setup. I think it probably will. I think it'll pump really late in alt season. As you can see, I went through the charts about why I thought of them. Let's go run down that list real fast, actually. Link, what's Link doing? Link Bitcoin is what I care about, right? Because it needs to significantly beat Bitcoin, or I just take a leverage position in Bitcoin, right? I'll just continue to leverage trade in and out of Bitcoin. But the only way it needs to be able to beat Bitcoin, because like with Link, I don't know if I'll take a leverage position on it, or if I'll just buy more spot. Probably just buy more spot of this. But you can see here, it's really getting compressed. You got a gradual uptrend, and you get these big spikes. And so what we're waiting on is an indication that we're headed for a big potential spike, which will come when we kind of probably take back this trend line. You see it drop below this key support level. I've been kind of watching the swing level. So it's back above it now, consolidating. Really, we're going to want to see it consolidate right here and then break through and then take a position probably somewhere over here in the next, I'm thinking kind of December on Link, like late November, early December, when I'm ready to take a position on Link. But obviously Litecoin's doing good. Let's go celebrate if you're in the trade with me. It's just look how early it is. Look how, it's been a big move today, but look how much it could go, right? Like, I don't think it's ever going to reach these levels again. That's not what I'm looking for. My initial kind of take profit, I already took a little bit of profit because I had a really big leverage trade on. So at 232, I took a bunch of profit. So now I'm hugely in profit on that trade. Just that little bit there that I took a third off of. But I'll probably push the majority of it. I mean, I'll probably actually buy back what I already just sold, honestly, when the technical's set up. The next level I have is 388. If it were to go more or less straight to 388 from here, I'll take a third off maybe at that point, because I know that I'll maybe be able to put that back on, when it consolidates again. But yeah, so if it were to go straight to 388, I would venture to guess that we're going to get some consolidation above this 232 weekly level that I tagged. This was my take profit level on Litecoin, initial take profit on this position that we built coming out of this right here. Built it out here starting at about 180. When we broke out this retest of this support level right here, and then built it on these dips. So the first initial profit I just took was 232, 1/3 off. Said if we go to 388, just go straight there. I'll take another third off. I doubt we get there. I bet we put in some market structure, and then I will probably put back on that third for that move. That's my plan anyway. When I see that we're starting to form, when we kind of confirm this as support, and I get some signs that we're resuming back up off of this, that's when I'll put that third back on. And I'll move the stop loss for the whole position right up underneath here when I do that. Yeah, I mean, it's been a good year. You look at I try not to, I don't ever tell you guys my balance. I'll never tell you how much of any particular coin I have or what the dollar equivalent is or anything like that. I talk in percentages, but let's think about 20%. So I started with 50-50 Ethereum and Bitcoin when we first started all this journey together last summer. When I first bought Bitcoin, was on this breakout of this downtrend right here at $8,600. I bought 50% Bitcoin. And I bought 50% Ethereum, because Ethereum was over here also consolidating right here at 190. I'll take this line. No, yeah, it was right there when we broke this July. I took my position at, no, it was 240. That's right, it was 240. Right here at 240, I took 50% of my initial investment in crypto was in Ethereum and 50% in Bitcoin. And then it just blasted off. And actually I sold a good chunk into resistance here at 480 something, and then we bought back at I want to say 330. I don't know if I got that good of a buy, maybe 360 or something. And then I sold more over here at 1400 something. Is that 1400? I think I might have sold some at 1430, bought back at 900 something. Maybe it's I don't know. And then anyway, we traded in and out of this profitably. And then I exited that whole position I'd put on that I also traded and stacked a little bit more. I entered at 240. I sold it all right here at 4K. Started selling it at 3,800 on the way up, hit resistance. I sold a decent chunk right up here at 4,400. It came off the charts, and then So that got rotated. So between that was a 10x on Ethereum and a 10x or close to a 10. That was more than a 10x. Hold on, 240. That was like nearly a 20x. Yeah, so it was a 30x on Cardano, nearly 20x. It was 20. Let's just call it a 20x on Ethereum and a 20x on ADA. And those were 20% of my position when I first started. This was 50% actually, but then I rotated a bunch of this somewhere in here to Bitcoin actually. But yeah, at one point, this was between Cardano and Ethereum, they were 70% of my portfolio, and I sold them at for a 20x gain and rotated all that into Bitcoin at 32K. And then, yeah, so that I've had 100x in VXV. Like we haven't even, like I don't ever talk about VXV anymore because it's so far gone. But VXV was my, I did a video, my top 4 small cap gems in December. My top 4 small cap gems for 2020, and VXV was my only micro cap that I recovered. And we got into it, what the heck, over here, yep, at 20 cents, and it went to $20. So it was 100x. I didn't sell. Obviously, I sold most of it on the way up here. I only had a small position left. The rest of it I took off at $18. And it's now bouncing back already, my goodness. So I only have some dust of it left anymore. So that was 100x. I had 200x's in the last year. So this was 100x that I bought. So I had one 100x from 2020. I bought this in late 2020 for 20 cents. Where's my all-time? Here it is. Let's see here. Yeah, 20 cents. Yeah, we started building a position at 18 to 22 cents USD because we're buying it with Ethereum and Bitcoin. Or well, I think I was buying it with Bitcoin actually. That's where I built it. I took some off here, re-entered over here, took a bunch off right there, re-entered a little bit there, and took the rest of it off up here. And then MATIC, 100x in MATIC. All right, so I had a small position in MATIC that ended up 100x. All of that got rotated into Bitcoin at 32,000 right here. So that's all been in Bitcoin. And then now I have all that's been running in Bitcoin. I've taken a couple leverage trades, and right now I have about 1.5x leverage on Bitcoin. Really that I started building at like 40 right here, 48. I've been trading in and out of that basic position. I started at 48. I think I got out at 56.3 or something. And then I got back in over here, started building about 60K, 58.8, 60K, something like that. And then Litecoin, my Litecoin position that I just had on is bigger. I just now realized this. The Litecoin trade, this is a leverage trade. It's about 10% of my total portfolio, and it's all leverage. It's bigger. It's 2 times bigger than my initial investment in all of crypto, and that was built at 180 to 200. And so it started out as 2x bigger than my entire initial investment in crypto. So it's been a crazy year. Like this is, I mean, I don't know, like it's just, it feels like all fake. It feels totally fake. Like it doesn't feel real because I haven't taken any profits. I did, actually, I'd lie. In the springtime, when we rolled over and I sold a bunch of my tradable positions at, when we lost a 120 day at 50K on Bitcoin, I did pay myself back. I took my initial investment out entirely. And I went and bought it. I bought Bitcoin miners and some other stuff with it, and some tax write-off stuff with it. So I paid myself back. So actually, everything I have on is house money, and it's like 20 times. I'm up 20x from my initial investment. So it feels like completely surreal right now. All right, enough talking about myself. Look, I'm having fun. It's a party, late night, drinking my rum. I really try not to get on here and brag because it's not what it's about. What this is about, the reason I'm on Twitter, the reason I do these live streams is to collaborate. It's to share my observations in the market, what I'm seeing. You guys can take it or leave it. Use it if you think it's useful. Help form your own strategy. Again, banned by the river. I should start with that, right? Nothing that you hear here is financial advice. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Totally my opinion about what I see in the markets. I'm just sharing. The bull market makes a lot of, I've had a lot of snide comments. People, I'll remind them that, look, no, I'm actually been really good at trading this all the last year. And they're like, well, shouldn't you do that in a bull market? Like, I guess so. But I know a lot of people that bought Bitcoin over here in the FOMO and they capitulated over here, or they got liquidated over here. Unfortunately for a lot of people, I know a lot of people that got liquidated. They used to be in our community, and they were over leveraged and got liquidated. And then I know people that, you know, are just now in the green. Maybe they were smart and just kept holding through all this, and they bought over here, but they're, you know, a little bit in the green. And I do know some people that have done like better than me. I know people that have out traded me for sure. They're playing a lot of smaller caps, and they've just like blown it out of the water. But those are kind of few and far between. Like, I don't know, not too many people have 20x their, and it's not like I started with, you know, a paycheck. I started with a lot more than like just a little bit of money to begin with, to 20x that in a year. So it feels very surreal, but this is where we're at. This is what we're trying to manage. I don't know what else to say. All right, back to comments. Can LTC outperform BTC in the short run? Absolutely, in the short run, yeah. I mean, it probably should. So here's the thing about where we're at with the market cycle. I posted a tweet comparing. Let's just look at. I'm gonna show you this Bitcoin USD on this chart right here. I'm just gonna compare LTC USD just to kind of give you a sense of what we're talking about here. Here's what Litecoin likes to lag Bitcoin. And you see here, it pretty much mirrored Bitcoin, you know, early on. And then it lagged for a little while, then it caught back up and passed it, right? So what happens is a lot of times Litecoin lags. So what we saw over here is Litecoin lagging Bitcoin significantly. And now it's catching back up. So you kind of see what I'm seeing happening, what I was expecting to happen on Litecoin. You see it lagging over here. You see it lagging significantly over here. And you see it then catch up and pass and accelerate the gains. This is the first part of that. This is where we're at right now, is we've been here, you are now here. We've been here, you are now here. So probably the rest of the chart, this is why I took profit at 232, because I expect this pullback and then try to get back in. And the rest of the chart will probably look something like this on Litecoin, right? I would not be surprised if Litecoin 2x'd or 3x'd or 4x'd even Bitcoin in the next month or two. So if Bitcoin, let's say Bitcoin goes to 80,000, then drops back to 67,000, then goes to 100,000 by the end of the month. I would not be shocked if, especially in the pullbacks, Litecoin likes to gain on Bitcoin when Bitcoin kind of consolidates or pulls back. Especially when Bitcoin takes a breather, I would not be surprised to see Litecoin, you know, up here at $1,000 or something, right? If Bitcoin's making those big moves, I wouldn't be shocked if Litecoin just blew it out and went to 1,000 or something like that. You know, but I'm not expecting that. That's not how I trade. I'll trade whatever the market gives me. Basically, I'll have a nice position on. Took profit here. I'll try to get back in the trade, right? Take some profit into 388, expecting some consolidation. And then plan to put back on that trade again when we break the all-time high. If we break the all-time high, I shouldn't say, well, like, I don't know that it's going to. I think it probably will if Bitcoin's, you know, on an absolute rampage. Litecoin will probably break its all-time high and then really run. So the plan would be then, okay, so my initial take profit was at 232 level. My next take profit's at 388 level. Try to wait for some consolidation, and when we get that breakout, then I'm back in a full size position, in theory, same size I have on, and then whatever it happens to do, you know, if it goes up here to $1,500 or something crazy, we're just going to we'll have this little handy trend line, and as it gets more and more parabolic, we'll draw new trend lines, and at some point it's going to break that trend line, and our fib extension levels will be off the charts or something potentially, and then that's when we'll start to trim and take our final profit on Litecoin. I mean, if it were to go straight up right now, I'd be a third out here, a third out there, and then I'll take the rest off whenever it's done, do whatever it's doing. But I highly doubt it's going straight there. But yeah, I can see it. I mean, here's the Litecoin Bitcoin chart. Let's put that in perspective, what we're talking about. The Litecoin Bitcoin ratio is currently like, we started building our position ultimately right here as it was forming this support, right around 0.003. All right, let's look at what a reasonable, so a 3x against Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's at $100,000. Bitcoin is almost 2x from you know where we started building this position. Bitcoin's about 50K. So Litecoin, what at 6x from there, right? If it were to 3x from here, so 6 times 200 roughly is what, $1,200? Yeah, $1,200. So that would be up here at 0.6. That would be, we just simply make a nice little journey from the bottom of this downtrend up to the top of this downtrend here. And then boom. That's my initial guess as to where we get. And if we were to break to the upside of this downtrend that I've got formed on here, then, you know, it can go a little bit further. I highly doubt that we make, in theory, like there are people out there that really, really, really believe, why is my chart ridiculous? Go to the 3-day. There are people out there that really believe that we can take back these levels from last earlier cycles. Where's 2017 at? So yeah, we went from over here at 2013 and then down. Like you would think that the trend is going to be lower highs, probably. I'm playing for 0.06 is what I'm playing for. Right, that's my main play, is to 3x, basically Litecoin 3x Bitcoin's move when it's all said and done. And the last phase of this move, like right now we might just get a move, a little wobble up here. But you see all the consolidation we've had. If we break to the upside over here, it might be a bigger breakout than just to this downtrend trend line, right? Get to the upside of that. You know, that would be some sort of monster crazy move if we were to make it back just to these highs over here from 2019. This is 2018. If you were to make it at least like halfway, like let's say this is a peak of 1.8. 2.0, like, you know, right here 0.9 or something. That would be it's a 0.6 is a 2x move. I'm sorry, I just realized I'm doing the math wrong. But 0.03, that'd be a 2x move on Bitcoin. So yeah, I mean, I think a 3x move on Bitcoin might be reasonable, 0.09 or something. But we'll just watch it, right? When you see how Litecoin likes to do this, where it just like breaks out. And here's how you play that. Just, all right, it's on this parabolic uptrend. When it breaks down and closes below it on a longer time frame, and then it comes back up into it and finds it as resistance, and then starts to roll back over, that's where you know. So in theory, let me look at this on a short time frame here. If I could have got out using my system here, yeah. So I wouldn't have closed my position here because that was a short wick down on a 4-hour. We got a 4-hour close, but we didn't get continuation down. So I just would have stayed in this trade, stayed in this trade, stayed in this trade. Just broke up the trend line. You might have got shaken out a little bit there, maybe. That might have gotten you shaken out, yeah. It's over here at 0.14. But if you left some on, hopefully you take some off. It didn't get full. It broke down to the downside, but it didn't really continue down. So if you took some off there, hopefully you get the rest of this move and you take the rest off over here. So ultimately these are going to be an exit here and an exit as you roll over right here, right there. There's your other exit. So, you know, if we got in the trade over here at 0.09, we would have gotten out at, you know, nearly a 2x move. Not quite a 2x move, I guess. Depends on where you built it. That's the strategy. It's a general strategy. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think it can outperform. Here's the thing about it, right? When the news starts to roll tomorrow that Bitcoin's at a new all-time high, see, this other all-time high we put in was so short, we didn't have time for a news cycle around it. It was just too fast. Right, the 20th, man, there was some news about it. If we can maintain this breakout for a couple of days and get the news cycle, the news hype cycle really going, there's going to be a lot of people that go, oh, Bitcoin's at a new all-time high, I'm going to buy. Maybe they buy like the stock, you know, buy MicroStrategies or GBTC or something. But a lot of people are just going to go, you know what? I want exposure to this space. Bitcoin's going to the moon. What's like Bitcoin, but not $60 or $70 or $80,000? And people are going to tell them, well, Litecoin is like silver to Bitcoin's gold, and it's only a couple $100. And so, okay, I'm going to buy a bunch of that. Sounds good. And they're going to tell them, you know, they'll tell them about Ethereum. Ethereum's $4,000. I guess it's good, but that's $4,800 still. And, you know, people will say like Cardano, these others, but they're going to explain, oh, it's this application and does all this stuff. But Litecoin, it's just like Bitcoin. It's just a lightweight version of Bitcoin. All right, that's what I'm buying. Bitcoin's doing good. I'm going to buy the Litecoin thing. So that's what happens. I mean, that's why it goes up so much. When MATIC what? I'm sorry. Do you check LTC, BidTC when you trade LTC? Yes, I do, David. I'm watching both charts at the same time. Right now, I'm currently trading versus the USD pair because when Bitcoin is trending, I'm trading USD pairs. It is rare when I trade the Bitcoin pairs, but I do that. I will trade the Bitcoin pairs especially late in altcoin season. Like I did so, if you remember we were talking about this early in the year in January, we expected alt season 1 around that time. And what I expected was as Bitcoin was actually declining, alts were going to be going up. And so we had a really big move versus like Ethereum Bitcoin was the main one we were playing. And one of my bigger trades of the entire year was playing the Ethereum Bitcoin pair, this whole like monster move. I had a really big position here, and I had a smaller position for this big move over here, right? But these two big moves were big. We were in these trades, both of these, when Ethereum made its big moves versus Bitcoin in December through February, and then March through May, April, May. So there are times I do the Bitcoin pair, but what I'm looking for is because like Litecoin, the reason I'm trading it is it's highly liquid and it's available everywhere. And like on the exchange that I'm using, I can trade it with the same leverage, same rules as Bitcoin itself. So I need it to beat Bitcoin, right? I need Litecoin to beat Bitcoin because the money that I'm borrowing to put the Litecoin trade on, I'm just gonna buy Bitcoin and do a leverage trade on Bitcoin. But in this case, Litecoin is great because if Bitcoin starts to move to the upside, and maybe like this time I wasn't fully positioned because of that little shakeout, right? Couple of times here I got shaken out. Like you guys know pretty clearly. I was planning to buy, and against my rules, but I had planned this ahead of time. I was going to go monster leverage right here when we touched the 120-day SMA. Well, we didn't touch it nearly. Like I got a leverage entry here, but it was not as much as I wanted because it was so quick. But I bought spot here, and I bought a leverage position here. And then, then the news about China rebanning, I started getting concerned right over here. I got concerned about, okay, what are the impacts of if Hong Kong follows suit and it impacts Tether? What's going to be the impact? So because we had kind of weak bounced off of here a few times, I actually sold my leverage with a very small profit at 42 right over here. And then it just took off, right? And I was just left, okay, now I don't have a leverage position, which I started rebuilding right here, right? But I had planned on having a monster leverage position coming out of all this. But I got a little bit shook about, heard some reports that Hong Kong was going to follow suit and ban crypto, and that was really going to impact Tether. And that Tether FUD is what would have driven us to the bottom end of this potential Wyckoff pattern and a 38K spring. So that's what I was really like starting to think was probably going to play out. But it didn't, and I got to take it. But the Litecoin trade is what lets you catch back up. So when Bitcoin starts to make a big move like this, Litecoin typically lags, and so Litecoin was my catch-up play. You see that same time frame? Litecoin bottomed out versus Bitcoin over here on October 20th. Now look at what Bitcoin was doing October 20th. Up here at the all-time high. So we had this nice lag where Bitcoin was making this big move. So when Bitcoin made this new all-time high, Litecoin had lagged so much, that's when we started building our really big Litecoin position, which was okay, I made a mistake. I didn't have the leverage I wanted to have on for that big move. My catch-up trade is Litecoin. So over here, when Litecoin started to bottom out, we waited for this area to break and then started building on these bounces off of support over here, right? And that's where I really built the majority. In late October, early November is where I built the majority of my Litecoin. And I think over here, let me make sure I'm not lying to you guys. Over here, Litecoin made a technical breakup. Yep, sure enough. So it was late October, Litecoin broke out, and then when we retested 180 is actually where I started building. Right here, we had a big move. I sold a bunch, and I bought back on, I think, a higher, like a 190. Yeah, I bought back, sold there, bought back 190. This move I didn't play because it was selling off too fast. I actually got stopped out. And then that was a small loss, win, small loss, and then I rebuilt, run back into 180 right through here, and then I really went big right here. And then we had this big move, and I added, the last add I had was over here at 200. But this is my catch-up trade, right? So this was my, all right, Bitcoin kind of left me behind a little bit, but this has been trading in and out of Litecoin has helped us catch up. So now, with this monster move in Litecoin, this very big position I had in Litecoin, probably am just about caught up with where I would have been had I instead built this monster position here and just rode it all the way through. So You know, again, Litecoin is like that was kind of our strategy. You always have, like, for me, I always kind of build a backup plan in, right? If something, especially with crypto, it's great because if you're actively playing like Bitcoin, for example, there's generally an opportunity around altcoins when Bitcoin consolidates to kind of catch back up and to you know, modify your strategy a little bit. So, but now I have a full size leverage position on Bitcoin. I'm back to a full size that I started over here, closed, rebuilt over here, closed again, and rebuilt at 60K, 58K to 60K. And that the stop losses are all nicely in profit over here somewhere. 64.8 is where I've left the stop losses for now, 64.8. Give me some wiggle room. But Bitcoin really we can't afford for it to turn around, because if it does turn around and go that far back down, it's probably going all the way back to the 50. So that's where I have it, exactly where I have it. I want to be below the prior all-time high a decent amount just to catch, so I don't get wicked out. But if it makes it, even a wick gets down this far, that's probably bad news bears, and we're going to go ahead and come back down to the 50. So that's why I have it where I have it. All right, does that answer your really long answer to your question about Litecoin? I'm sorry. When is MATIC breaking out? Okay, when is MATIC breaking out? I don't know. It's breaking out right now. The USD chart looking good. So you see this swing high right here. This is the level I'd be watching. We're building support up there right now. Perfect touches of that swing high level. I mean, yeah, this is a 12-hour chart. Frankly, with Bitcoin making the move like this, and Ethereum's moving too, right? Yeah, Ethereum's breaking out of the uptrend channel that we have. Ethereum's on the upside of this uptrend channel right now. When Ethereum makes a move, MATIC is usually quick behind it. So honestly, you had your retest over here. I mean, at any point you can put a position on, especially at this point. If it was knee and I was trying to trade it, let's see a daily. Your daily is right below this level, right here. Here's your support right here. I'd put an order in right now myself, not financial advice. Very not financial advice. I'd put an order in at 187 right now, and I'd have a stop loss at 186, and it better bounce, or then I'll just try to buy again over here at 180. This is like almost risk-free trading at this point. You put a position on a Litecoin or MATIC at 187, and your stop loss is below this wick right here. If it gets below that, it's coming back down to 180 or so again for one more test. Try again at 180. Stop loss right below this wick over here at 178. If you lose that, try again at the weekly level at 168. Same exact thing. Probably a little bit bigger wick, give it a little bit more space on this one. But one of these levels is going to catch and bounce, and it's going to take off because Ethereum's trying to take off. Let's see unless Bitcoin wants to roll over on us. The big risk. That's why you want to have your stop losses. The big risk is this is a fake out, and we're headed for the 50-day shortly hereafter. If Bitcoin makes it all the way back to the 50-day, alts are going to just get decimated, right? So this is why you have a quick stop loss under here. If it keeps like these, but these are really good risk reward, because your reward is like, good lord, this is huge. Your initial take profit's going to be right here at 221. If you're going to be really structured about it, take a third off at 221, move your stop loss to break even, which it pretty much is. And then same thing, take 2/3 off at 244 and then let the rest run. So your risk reward is humongous on a trade like that, right? And, because you can have a third here, and then, who knows how high it goes. The rest of that trade, you just let it run. But these are beautiful. I love this is like the perfect setup for me, in my opinion. You see right there? I mean, it's been 12 minutes. Check this out. I was talking about. These are Heath levels. How close it came to that. But yeah, I mean, it's probably going to touch that and then just take off. Or bounce, anyway. But yeah, I mean, you can just, you don't have to give it much wiggle room at all. Because if you buy exactly right there, 187.4, and your stop loss is 186 exactly, say, it's such a small risk. That big reward. So anyway. So that's why you play. It's probabilities. The probability that this trade works out is maybe 20%, but that risk reward is, I don't know, 20 to 1 or something. If you take these two levels and above. So a 20% chance for a 20 to 1 risk reward is a fantastic trade. I mean, you're going to lose 4 of them and then win the 5th one. But the 4 small paper cuts is no big deal because the winner is going to be huge. So it's just the way it works. This may be more like a 10% trade. It doesn't really matter. At this big risk reward, you're going to take 5 or 6 of these before you get a winner. But when you get the winner, it's going to be nice. All right. Anyway. Doge bonk. I have nothing to say about that. Let me take some more. If we're asking about Doge bonk, I need to drink more rum before we talk about stuff like that. Hi, Brandon. Cycle top BTC sell, buy straight in LTC for 2 weeks, and then bail out all positions. I mean, that's not a terrible strategy. I'll probably be more diversified at the tail end of it. I'm going to rotate actual Bitcoin, not just trades, right? So I'll have, for like leverage trading, it's pretty much for me, I only really trade Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin on leverage. That's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else that I trade on leverage. So I might have some Ethereum and Litecoin on leverage depending on what the charts are doing. But yeah, I'll rotate, take a lot of profit, and I'll rotate some of that profit into, maybe Cardano, Polkadot, Outrun, Steller might be a big one. I think Steller might be one of the few that I actually trade, have access to trade some leverage on. And it is coming into support right now on Bitcoin. Look at that. And it's been sitting on the support for a while, so. This is kind of a long game. If you were to buy here, you're probably going to end up waiting a few months before you actually get your breakout. He's going to keep ping-ponging around. That would be my guess. Bitcoin, don't turn around on us. I don't want to have to bail, please. That's the worst possible outcome is we get this like slightly higher, high over here. Like all this over here. And then we just start some kind of rolling stuff. Oh, well, we haven't checked yet. I didn't look at this earlier. I want to share this with everybody here who's live. What is my music? This has gone really slow. I need to speed it up. My music, I'm getting tired. That's too dark and party. I need some what's the word I'm looking for? Royalty free. Strange aeons. Oh, this is maybe a bit much. It's kind of dark, but whatever. It's more upbeat. All right. Okay. Bitcoin's taking me out. Good. I really just don't want to see us start to go into some sort of distribution. The reason I don't think we are, I'm checking some things here. Let's go to my so here's our current, where we're at with coins coming on off exchange. We had a small increase in coins on exchange on the 7th, no big deal. A little drawdown on the 8th. That's no big deal as long as we don't start to see a consistent ramp up and a large ramp up. It can be fairly neutral. Like as the price really starts to ramp up here, so if we get up to 70, 80,000, we're going to see some coins come on exchange. You're going to see it. As long as it's more or less neutral by the time the correction happens and it resumes up, when the big run starts to happen, we want to see coins coming onto exchange at a measured pace. We're going to see them come on exchange, so don't freak out when you start to see them coming on exchange. But you want to see them coming on exchange at a very kind of moderate pace. You don't want to see a bunch of coins come on exchange all at the same time. That's bad news bears. Let's just go back in time and see. You see this right here? It looks like it's really ramping up, but for the peak in 2017, coins are coming on exchange pretty fast. But price was going. So as long as this is more or less chasing price, we're okay. When you have a situation like this over here, where coins were coming on exchange as price was declining, that's bad news bears. So especially right here, you see this little dip, and then we had this price was more or less going sideways, I guess another way to say it, and then coins were coming on exchange big time. You see this big right here, this big burst of coins on exchange. May 13th, that little shelf we put in right there, a huge amount of coins came onto exchange and price had dipped. This was a huge signal that we were headed for a lot more downside. And that was price of Bitcoin was 49,000. Yeah, right below, right after we got out at 50,000. Our 120-day SMA actually got us that signal right before this signal. So this was a signal that happened right after the 120-day SMA confirmed as resistance. And then like a day later, all these coins came onto exchange for the next 2 days. So our 120-day SMA got us just ahead of this. This is another thing to watch. See this big, huge. This is a lower high, starts to sell off, and a bunch of coins come on exchange. When we see that, I mean, it's bad news bears. But if you look, we were talking about through all these very small higher highs, coins kept coming off of exchange. So just keep that in mind too. Just looking back in history. Go back further in history, and we're talking 2017. Let's go back over here. Yeah, so again, price was really ramping up and coins are coming on exchange. But if you really zoom into this, it looks a lot more severe when you zoom out. But you see, it like you get the sense that the coins are chasing the price. Coins are coming onto exchange as price is going up, and price actually peaked right here. So it really was a pretty modest from Bitcoin $2,000. You know, from $2,000 Bitcoin to $20,000 Bitcoin, it was really a modest increase in coins on exchange. That's okay, right? So as long as coins are chasing price, it's not that big of a deal. We can keep the momentum, right? The price can keep going up into the selling as long as there's enough buying to cover this fresh sell pressure. The other thing that we want to keep a really close eye on, of course, is our derivatives. There's a lot more things, a lot more data we can look at, but the general is just open interest rate, and you can see. Every time we get a really big spike in the perpetuals funding rate, we get a big sell-off right after that, right? It's like clockwork. So November 2nd, we had a big, humongous spike. This is actually where we closed. I closed leverage just on the funding alone. Like it was the technicals were actually not looking that bad, but the funding was out of hand, and so we closed. It's here 63,000, and it came back to 60. It really wasn't that big of a sell-off, I guess, actually. It was more people got bored and got sick of buying because they were expecting this big breakout, I guess, and then just the consolidation got people out, and we were able to rebuild here when leverage looked more sane. This is what I watch. When I see leverage get above, if we go back, I can't go back on my account here back to the early part of the year. It was worse, but it was leverage chasing price. What I really get nervous about is leverage increasing when price is decreasing. That's the worst. And we see that pretty much live over here. You can watch the perpetuals funding rate on coin. This used to be Bybit, and now it's just called CoinGlass here. But you can see the live funding rate, these are the margin rates, and this is the token. So this is like if you're buying like a leverage token, the rate for those over here. So when you see it get above like 0.05 is not great, but not terrible because we just broke an all-time high, so it's really not bad at all. When you see it get like 0.08, a couple of these are 0.08 or so, that's when you start to go, okay, it's getting a little overheated. 0.1, definitely overheated. We start to see a bunch of them right around 0.1. That's not good. So right now, actually the leverage looks fine. It's not bad at all. Volume. The other thing we really need to see volume. Yesterday actually printed a pretty good volume day. Now that we have the full 24-hour sample, that volume's not terrible. I mean, it's not what we want to see. I'm going to show you all this back to 2-year chart. What we want to see, if I go to the daily, I want to take it down to a daily level. All right, what we want to see, if you see here, again, I have to cover this of the day, but October, as price was increasing, so was volume. So that means that there were lots of buyers entering the market. There was a lot of FOMO. People were buying, pushing price up. So it was a good volume that supported that increase. So we have a general increase in volume as price is breaking out and increasing. And then we had our volume peak, buying volume peak, January 10th. Huge volume day. It might have been actually a sell-off. I'm not 100% sure. But January is a lot bigger volume. And then we had a decline in volume. Price kept going up, but volume was declining. That's bad news bears. Right, and that's really what gave us another indicator that things were not looking great. And then you see the big volume spike over here is the selling volume. 518 was, I guess, our big sell-off day, the capitulation low, all that liquidation cascade event right here. All right, the problem right now is that we are like declining in volume, and we really need to see a significant uptick in volume, because if you look at this volume profile over here from September 6th to yesterday's print, which was a little bit up, but not what we really want for a breakout day. 11.7. You look at that, it looks a lot like February to March and into April, right? and May. It's declining volume, which you had a little bit of a spike here in April. I'm not sure if that was selling or buying, but you see this general decline in volume and prices increasing. That's not good. So we need to see some more volume coming in here. I'm starting to see signs of some volume. You see, like I said, 11.7 was a lot more volume here on this breakout. Relative to the recent price action, it was more volume. And we also don't need to see the same volume we saw from a year ago. It doesn't have to be like the other thing, don't confuse the size of these. I'm just talking about the pattern, the trend. We want to see an increase in volume as price is increasing. It means more buyers are coming in as price continues to go up. Not so much, we don't need to match the volume, right? Month for month, we don't necessarily need to match the volume because this is Bitcoin. This is the amount of Bitcoin traded. I don't think this is the amount of US dollar value, right? So the US dollar value is much higher over here. So we're actually trading more probably in US dollar terms, but it's just lower number of coins. The bigger problem, the bigger issue is just this general trend. Even if price is going up, we have this general trend of a decline in the coins being exchanged. And again, price is going up. So it's not the end of the world, but we still want to see an increase in the number of coins changing hands. It means there's a lot of fresh buyers coming in. So it's the next thing. This is the first print. We're up. So we've kind of broken this recent downtrend. Like if you're charting this, right? A little bit of down. This is your breakout of a downtrend. Let's make sure that trend continues. So it'll be a while until we get all the data aggregated from the 8th to be able to see. Hopefully the 8th comes in slightly higher than the 7th. If we start to see that general pattern of as price is increasing, volume's increasing, we're definitely going to get a big volume spike on the sell-off whenever it comes, right? So if we get to 80K or whatever it is, 70-something K, and it sells back off, you're going to get a volume spike there. You really want to see volume go big on that bounce. All right. We're going really long here. Oh, you've ever seen a crypto and rum session? Yeah, I'm totally just spitballing. Nothing specific to talk about. Nothing specific at all. Do I see path 1 going on? Somebody on Twitter is asking me, do I see path 1 going on? That my two paths. Let me pull up that tweet here. And really, it's I'm looking for the first indications as if we're gonna maybe get a blow off top to the end of this year, or if we're gonna kind of start to consolidate and underperform the blow off top expectations and end up continuing on into 2022. This is what I'm looking for. No, this is the wrong tweet. There's, okay. Well, that could be happening. Sure. We don't know. I have no clue. Just an observation. Like, okay, this could be forming. Keep an eye on this. Let's see. Where's my other tweet? My two paths tweet. I'm losing my tweets. Was that at the very top? Did I just recently tweet that? Tweets. Sorry guys, I'm trying to find this stinking tweet. There it is. My two paths tweet. All right. So what I actually said this in Discord, and then I turned it into a tweet. So if we see super high leverage, sluggish volume, and alts are really going insane, then we're probably going to top out somewhere around 70K and nuke down to the 50s, which would be basically, this sort of thing, right? So if we get a nominal 5% or so increase from the prior high, that would put us right around 70,000, and then we nuke down to, the high 50s, mid 50s maybe. Then we have a potential distribution pattern on our hands, right? And we get one more peak, and then it rolls over for the year, and then we start afresh maybe next year. We'll see if we get a third peak next year. So that's the potential path 1. And so what I'm looking for is signs that this is happening. So I'll know more tomorrow when we get a look at the kind of more the volume, see if we can maintain this breakout if we continue to push higher. And if tomorrow when Bitcoin consolidates, if alts go insane. Okay, so again, if leverage starts to really pick up big time as Bitcoin is struggling to get above 68K, and we see kind of sluggish looking volume, it's not much bigger than the 7th candle, it's the 7th volumes, and then alts are just going nuclear, Bitcoin's probably about to turn around. If leverage doesn't pick up too bad, we see a lot of volume, a lot of real spot buying coming in. The 8th, the volume profile for the 8th is maybe a lot bigger than the 7th. And alts are really not doing much versus USD, and they're declining, especially versus Bitcoin. Then we're probably headed for that 80K plus target, and then a sell-off back to the prior all-time high, which is what we want. In a bull market, we want this constant momentum. Like you go back to 2017, you had this phase you got into. It took a while, right? You had some consolidation over here, but eventually you got into this phase where it was just relentless pushing upward, a quick pullback, and just like it got bought up real fast and just kept relentlessly pushing. And ultimately, it really was kind of like that all the way through, right? It was up, a little pullback, up, a little pullback, up, a little pullback, up, 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 up. We need to get, if we're going to get a blow off top, we need that sort of like all these dips are just being bought up just completely, just fervently, and you don't really get much of a dip and you head into your blow off top. So if we're starting kind of a blow off top phase, we really need to push to like something like 80, get a quick pullback, and then blast, right? It needs to be the first part of that, right? It really just all the dips are just getting bought up fervently. If we get this sluggish move into 70 and then it starts to, we get the indication things are rolling over, so. Somebody asked me, do I see signs on Twitter? They asked, do I see signs of this? I don't currently see signs of this, to be honest with you. This is what it looks like we're headed right now, because the leverage isn't bad. Yesterday was decent volume, and alts aren't doing anything as far as I've seen. This is a super telling, right? Bitcoin dominance. Alts Bitcoin can't hit this resistance and turn around, and tomorrow or the next day we're into resistance on BTCD and then it starts to tank again. It can't happen. Bitcoin has got to make its move right here. It needs to take out this high. We've got to take out this high. If we're gonna have a blow off top of Bitcoin, that is, right? It doesn't have to. It can still be a very healthy market and heading for a really good price action into early next year. But if we're gonna have a blow off top in December, like in the next 3 or 4 days, we need to take out this high right here for sure. Otherwise, we're headed for like a move like this, and that's kind of. We'll see what happens. I don't know. My current feeling is I do think we're kind of headed for a hybrid. I think we're headed for the 80K range. It looks like maybe to me. It's kind of weak though. I mean, it's not. We haven't had enough time to really know. And it could really make another big leg here overnight. The other problem I have, the other big thing that's bothering me right now is we keep getting these pumps during Asia. So I guess honestly, the one sign that I see, I did post, and preferably LTC chills out, coming to 232 resistance while BTC breaks out. Okay, that was the other kind of stipulation. The beyond all these things is also the timing. When is Bitcoin moving? So Litecoin's at 242. It's not really chilling out. That's not a good sign. The volume is okay-ish. The leverage is okay-ish. We're kind of in between, I guess. Really, we're kind of in between path 1 and path 2 right now. But the big red flags are Litecoin is breaking above this resistance, and it continues to run versus Bitcoin. The second big red flag is that these breakouts are happening during the Asian session. This big move yesterday, if you break it down into 4-hour windows here, the big move happened overnight. And then we actually had selling pressure all day. When New York came into the office on Monday, it was a selling pressure. So this was initial selling pressure from the New York open session. And then this big green candle, go to the 1 hour here. So this was market open. What time is it currently? Hold on. 2. Trying to do the math in my head real fast. I think market would have opened. The 12 hours ago was right here. That'd have been 8 a.m. Yeah. All right. So I guess we get this big push. Asian session. Was this 8? This was 8 a.m. here. So I guess we did get a little bit of a push, but the New York session was kind of muted, mostly sideways, right? So I guess it did get a little bit of a push. But this big push came at the end of Asia. Actually, this is London. This is a London session. I don't really know. I'm trying to do the math here on the timing of all this. 8th. 7th. I was at dinner when this big 1 hour candle. This was last night. This was definitely during the Asian session. It was like early Asian session last night, right after the market opened. Yeah, this was right after the market opened yesterday. Look at the daily. Yeah, it was right after market opened. The 7th and then yesterday, the 8th. Anyway, I don't know. I'm losing track of time here, but what I recall was today it was kind of muted, and it was more sell pressure coming in from New York is what I kept thinking. But the fact that we didn't get a big breakout in New York, this was just kind of, you know, a modest upward move in the New York session. The big breakout definitely came overnight or late night at the open yesterday, mostly during the Asian session. And it was kind of muted on the New York session. And then after hours, we had this big pop and the big move, and we're now firmly in the Asian session. I don't like that these moves are happening after hours, right? I want to see a lot of volume buying coming from the West. I want to see during the New York session, I want to see rampant, large volume buying. Then I'm really convicted, okay, we've got the right buyers that we need to keep pushing this higher. So that's the other thing that kind of concerns me about where we're at right now. Let's see if anybody has any comments about that. I'm going to wrap up, man. I'm getting tired. Doge bunk, no way. Sandbox is moving to MATIC. Cheers, mate. Oh, cool. Sandbox is moving to MATIC? What? I've got land in Sandbox. All right. Hey, Craig. ETC pump. ETC USD. Is it gonna pump? Oh yeah, it's pumping. Let's do some looking at ETC. Let's go to the daily. Let's look at the daily here. Oh, okay, it's just starting to pump. Good. All right, so it's putting in a bottom over here. This little bit of swing high right here. Look at that. Yeah. Apparently, at one point, I was doing some work way back here on ETC. I don't ever trade ETC. It occasionally, my miners will occasionally pick up an ETC job to start mining some ETC, but I get paid in Bitcoin on that, so like I don't have any ETC. I actually don't know if I've ever owned Ethereum Classic. I probably have mining somewhere. I just don't remember it. I was never big into it, but yeah. So yeah, breakout of this little bit of a downtrend structure. Not super convincing yet, though. I mean, these horizontals, we got work to do. Like right here, you're coming into resistance. See that was resistance all through here. So let's throw a resistance on that. So, I mean, yeah, I guess if you can get above this little bit of level here, that gives you an entry. So if you get a little bit of an entry signal over here on the retest of this 59.40 something support, your maybe initial take profit is up here. You can just a nice move back to 70. And then you try to leave some on, like always. You got all kinds of levels over here. Let's go to the weeklies. These other dailies are not going to be as impactful as whatever the weekly levels are. There you go. There's your big level. There's the boss level. 118 is your kind of ultimate take profit. So yeah, you got a little bit of resistance, kind of this general zone right here. If you can get through that, especially on Ethereum Classic, they can blast all the way up to 118. But you got to get up here first and get through it first too. So I would say, yeah, on this this is a trending probably market right now. So I'm switching to the 4 hour for the most part. A 4 hour signal would be worth putting a trade on. I would wait for I wouldn't buy into support here because this hasn't been confirmed as support. It's not. I don't have a 4 hour close above this. So actually, as of right now, this is still resistance in my book, right? So 59.47 is still resistance until we get a 4 hour close above it. You've had an hour close above it, but that's not how I trade. So I'm not. Yeah, you get a 4 hour close above it, then this will become support. You should test it at least once, and then. You can buy coming into it for a really tight stop loss that we talked about earlier. I don't forget what trade it was. And then a resumption, obviously, off of there. And then your target's up here. So, I have traded Solana. I'm not currently trading Solana. I had a couple small trades on it. I had no conviction in the trade, so I only took a couple of chunks of this big move here. So from here to there, I got taken out over there. I was a little bit too aggressive with my stop over here, and then another entry over here for another move over here. I got out. So basically from here to here and from here to here is all I got out of the move. And then I quit messing with it because I had other stuff to look at. But yeah, as of right now, Solana's just off. Probably should have been watching it more. Just not a big fan of it, so it's like, eh. The problem is like I've just never with Solana. I'm just like I'm pretty sure there's going to be a rug pull on it at some point, and I don't want to be in a trade on it. I'm just afraid of the rug pull. Bourbon here. What's up? Okay, Anthony, awesome. Correct me if I'm wrong. Supply shortage means less BTC to sell. Need to look at buying volume versus selling against the USD, like you mentioned. Yeah, so USD volume is really important. But it's just a relative thing, right? Especially like looking at the recent, like this is still fair because the Bitcoin price hasn't changed all that much. We want to see more coins changing hand, means more people buying more coins. But as long as we see that general trend of it starting to trend in the other direction, or at least not declining, then that's not declining is step one. Increasing would be really nice. But supply shortage means a lot of things. But supply shortage, as far as like what a lot of people are really thinking of is just supply and demand. Whenever you have more demand than you have supply, so supply shortage is a relative term to the demand typically. If I'm selling apples and I have a bushel of apples, I have a whole apple orchard and I'm selling them on the side of a country highway and I sell one every week. Well, if my demand picks up to 2 a week, I'm probably not ever going to have a supply shortage, right? Or if I happen to have a bad day where I only harvested 12 apples instead of 400 and I sell 1 or 2, I'm never going to have a supply shortage. It's just not the demand. But if I was selling 400 apples a day and I had a day where I had, I only harvested 100 apples, well, I could raise my rates a little bit, something. You get the idea. It's just supply versus demand. I mean, without demand, supply doesn't mean diddly squat. There's only one Mona Lisa in the world, and there's more than one person that wants to own the Mona Lisa. Therefore, it's valuable. All right. Thoughts on FTM? I forget which Phantom. From a tech perspective, can't remember. God, so many projects. Woo, it is trending upward. Can't remember what it is again. It's Phantom. I know that much. I just don't know what it does. What they do. Oh, it's a DAG platform. Yeah. How are the DAGs doing? Let's take a look at all the DAG projects. Nano. Are DAGs hot right now? Nano's not. So FTM is. Let's look at HBAR. HBAR is trending upward. HBAR is looking pretty good. And then AVAX is kind of the Polkadot version of a DAG. That's doing really good. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I've made the conscious choice to stay away from DAG projects until the bear market, and I'm gonna really dive in really deep on DAGs because I think they're gonna be the next big thing in the coming bull market. But the reality is right now the really figured out ecosystems are all blockchain sharded scaled kind of blockchains, and there's a lot of problems with DAGs, especially they require a certain amount of centralization to operate as of right now. And there's a lot of projects that are working on. There was one that we just talked about the other day. I forget the name of it. Building true decentralization for a DAG. So in the bear market, what I'm going to be looking at is which projects A are getting adoption that are DAG based, and B, which ones actually have achieved true decentralization. I think Avalanche is actually, I read a lot about their, not a whole lot, but I read a decent amount on their white paper. Their Snowball, I guess they call it, consensus algorithm. Really cool stuff, really advanced technology. Seems pretty decentralized, but I haven't really had the time that I need to really dive in. So in the bear market, these will be a real big topic of mine. And we will be accumulating the capitulation lows on the best projects, the ones that have true decentralization, the ones that have good technical teams, a lot of development activity, and that are truly decentralized, right? Or have achieved a reasonable level of decentralization. That term is a nebulous term. There is no such thing as truly decentralized. It's a spectrum, but ones that I would consider on the acceptable side of the decentralized spectrum, then we'll be accumulating those. So as of right now, I don't know enough about it technically, I know it's a DAG, and I'm roughly staying away from them for now until I get my head, until I really dive in and find ones that I think have achieved the decentralization goals that I would have for them. Oh, Bitcoin, are you gonna do something for us here? Litecoin, what is Litecoin doing? 243. So I gotta tell you all this. My brother, remember, he gets all the best trading signals. I told him to buy Litecoin. He had some money lying around. He wanted to redeploy some capital, so he put a little bit into Litecoin with his funds, and he bought over here at I don't know what he ended up buying at, 180 something. I'm certain. I don't know what it was. And so I told him, hey, we're coming into my key take profit level earlier today. You know, he's got it collecting interest, so he's got it on a platform that he's got some, you know, he's earning some interest on it. So he had to take it off that platform, and it didn't unlock in time. I told him, hey, just put a 232 you know, limit sell on a portion of it, you know, whatever percentage you want to sell of it, and then you'll have some funds to buy the next dip. So whenever Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum, one of those three dips, or Sandbox or something dips, then we'll be able to buy the dip on that. And he didn't get it unlocked in time, fortunately, so he still has his full Litecoin position on. So, I mean, he's the best trader. Just, you know what? I'm just gonna buy Litecoin at 180 and just write it. So good job, Tanner. All right, Ergo chart analysis. Ergo is awesome. Ergo, it's on. Hey, look at that. It's on KuCoin. I need to buy some Ergo. Ergo Dex is coming for Cardano. Ergo's its own blockchain. It uses NEPA POW, really cool technology, yada, yada, yada. I don't have, okay, there's no, like, the trend lines aren't going to work on this. It's worthless to use a trend line. All right, it's obviously was in a big downtrend. It's obviously on the other side of whatever trend line you want to try to draw on it, so there's no point in drawing trend lines anymore. It's coming to a bottom. You see this daily close over here. It's starting to kind of form some resistance. Let me go to the weeklies. That's going to be more useful. So we have some resistance right here on this weekly close. Kind of in this whole little range right here. This is $10. Is this USD? $10. Your weekly resistance right there. Another weekly support down here. Yeah, Ergo. I mean, I should probably always quantify if you're just like looking to really buy and hold long term. Honestly, coming into support like this right now, if you're just going to buy and hold long term, this is a really good project to have some exposure to for the long run. So, you know, just start to DCA in whenever you feel like it, in my opinion. Not financial advice. Not financial advice, man, by the river. But this is one worth DCAing into and just having a hodl bag on if you're just a big fan. If you ask me about it, you're obviously excited about it. So, you know, my opinion is, in that case, you're in a support kind of zone right here. You're probably not going to drop too far below this. If we were to, you know, you might want to trim some of your bags if you start to fall out over here, and with the intent of buying back a little bit lower. But I don't think you're going to drop a whole lot, honestly. It's a good project. When Cardano starts to, projects start to launch on it, and Cardano starts to get some fresh hype here toward the end of this year, early next year maybe, Ergo might run with it. Although Ergo's its own thing, so it's not necessarily tied to Cardano. It's just one of the bigger things it's doing is building a DEX for Cardano. From a trading standpoint, I mean, it's a very simple, for me, in my opinion right now, would be that you've got this couple of resistances built up over here, but this is your boss level. You've broken it, you keep getting rejected above this level and come back below it. The first real sign that you're holding it, right? So this was pretty close over here. It broke out, got some closes, but you never really got a good entry signal except right maybe here, and you would have got stopped out as you came back under it, right? So this would have been a stop out. You know, next time you have some price action that looks like about like this, you know, you break out, you come back into the support, give yourself a chance to buy into support, a tight stop loss, and then, you know, you might get stopped out, or it might go this time. But you had a breakout retest resumption signal. You had a buy, you know, you had a good opportunity to buy into support right there. That one didn't work out. Fortunately, if you didn't trade that. So the next entry is going to be the exact same thing. Get back above 1030. And then once you kind of confirm that you're going to confirm this as support, again, you can either buy coming into it as support with a really tight stop loss, which is a great way to build an initial position on a trade. But like, this is not one I would probably super actively trade either. It's only available on KuCoin, so I guess you could. I don't know. I would just buy some and just forget it. That's what I would do. Do I know much about front? I never even heard of it. We had a cold front come through the other day. It's now cooler than it was. In Texas, we actually had a cold day the other day. My Bitcoin miners are loving it. I've got the AC turned off out there for the past couple of weeks. Just got a window cracked open pretty good, and they're just humming along, no AC. Otherwise, I don't know nothing about front. Not a dang thing. It's a DeFi aggregator. Yeah, I don't know nothing about it. Take a look at Tezos. Tezos. One I don't like. I don't like Tezos. They're the first ones to do staking. That's like their whole thing. They're baking. You could bake Tezos. You're a baker. Otherwise, it's not exciting at all. But where is this? XTZ, right? XTZ. Is this Tezos? I think this is Tezos, yeah. It looks like poop. I don't like Tezos. It looks like garbage. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's trying to put it at the bottom here. I probably need to modify where the bottom is. It's not a good support line. Right under there. I don't like it. I don't like the chart. I don't like the project, don't like the chart. That's what I want to tell you. Now, you're just versus Bitcoin, it's worth probably buying if you're a big fan of the project and you really love it. Your next DCA opportunity is buying on when holding some Bitcoin, because Bitcoin could go up to the moon or whatever. But just have some Bitcoin earmarked to buy when it comes into support. I guess that's if you're going to buy with Bitcoin. That's your next chance at DCA probably, because it's probably coming down there because it's broken down a bunch of technical support. It's lost a bunch of support, so it needs to come back here one more time. Probably, I mean, not. That's just the probability. That's not the certainty. Tezos USD looking a lot better, obviously. Okay, but it's following Bitcoin, obviously. Yeah, not a great time to buy. I don't like it. All right, there's your weekly resistance, weekly support over here at 557. You got some weekly support you're sitting on right now too. You're just last week's close. I'm just go with that. Go to the daily. Yeah, it's trying to put in. I mean, it closed. I mean, it closed a weekly here. It's trying to find support right there. You can play that level. You can try to play that level. You can play this range. Honestly, this is more like a range play as of right now. You could probably take an entry here, and you're looking for an entry in 655 and a stop at 8. Take profit at 869. There's just so many more exciting things to trade than Tezos. That's like, okay, yeah, you can get a couple bucks out of it. Whoop-de-doo. Like, here's a better one for you to trade. Like, look at Cardano. It's beat down. Cardano gets back above 225, 219. Okay, that's not much more exciting, but it's a lot more potential upside. I still don't like it a whole lot better. I don't know. Cardano's probably a better one to trade. It's got more hype potential. Let's look at what Elrond's doing. Yeah, Elrond's up here in price discovery, and it's coming into support over here. Like this one's gonna move like big. I would rather put you in something like an Elrond. I mean, if you love Tezos and that's your thing, do what you're gonna do. But Elrond's probably gonna put in support here at 302. Any dip back there is probably an opportunity, not financial advice. But with the Myar DEX launching here pretty soon, this is one of the better blockchains. If you look at the market cap list, it's got a lot of catching up to do on the big boys. It's actually behind Tezos. Last I looked, it's definitely superior to Tezos, like on market cap. Where's it? It might have passed it though by now. They did pretty good. There's FTX. Where are we at? Elrond. Elrond passed Tezos finally, but Elrond's way superior to Tezos, and it's barely above it in market cap. I mean, that's just like a no-brainer. Like, buy and or trade. This is the better one to go with if you're going to be trading a layer 1 blockchain. And it's going to be. It's not like it deserves to be. Or what's SHIB at? It's going to take out Shiba. It's going to be above. It's going to be a top 10 project. I mean, it's not a question of if. It's going to be. I'm like really certain about that. So that puts it up at, and then you can't count USDC or Tether. So it's going to take out Shiba and Terra. So it's going to be around at least 30 billion market cap if nothing else moves around a whole lot, right? So yeah, I would rather put you in there. That's my opinion. I wouldn't mess around with Tezos. It's not really worth messing with. I'd go look at something more exciting. Isn't Elrond too high to buy right now? Well, let's see here. To answer that question, I think I answered it, but let me re-answer it in a different way. This is what matters. This number right here, this is the market cap. This is what matters, not the price per token, not anything else. This is what matters. And with a $6 billion market cap, I think that Cardano is probably a superior project for a couple of reasons, but Cardano's also got a lot of headwinds right now with people trying to figure out EUTXO. So there's a world where Elrond passes up Cardano for a time. Now, ultimately, I don't think it will maintain that, but Elrond is better than Solana. Let me just put it that way. It's clearly in every way. There's not a single way that Solana is better than Elrond. Not a single one. So that number, there's no reason that Elrond can't pass up Solana. And of course, Cardano should be ahead of Solana, so that's the stupid thing. Polkadot, Elrond is right behind Polkadot in my best projects, right? So it's for me, it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot, and then probably Elrond right after that. And you look at that, Polkadot's up here at $52 billion market cap, and Elrond and Chainlink are neck and neck as far as I think they should probably be pretty close to each other. Chainlink should definitely be top 10, but Chainlink's at 15 billion, and again Elrond. So I wouldn't be upset if Chainlink maintained its edge and market cap above Elrond, but Elrond probably deserves to even be above Chainlink. That's just the truth. Right behind Polkadot makes a lot of sense for it. Ahead of Avalanche even. It should be ahead of Avalanche. There's no reason Avalanche should be up here. I don't know. I guess I can make a case for this too. Point is, this needs to die. And, Elrond's got a long way to go. So Tezos will never get up there. There's no reason ever that Tezos should be top 10. None at all. Think of it that way too. No, Elrond does not have the venture capital money that can hype it up. So, venture capital money that can hype it up is a short-term thing. Eventually the market will get sick of that toy. Elrond is much more of a people's project. It's a slow build, slow momentum build. But with the Maillard DEX being 100% community owned, that's what's going to give it a lot of people are going to start to pay attention to it after that DEX goes live. Because that DEX Maillard is much more, so the Maillard DEX thing, just FYI, it's much more than just a decentralized exchange. It's also a liquidity provider like an Aave, and it's also like an NFT platform and a bunch of other stuff. So it's a bunch of things, the Maillard DEX is. It's being built on Elrond. Yeah, it doesn't have the clout. The reason I think Cardano, one of the biggest reasons, honestly, that I think Cardano is superior to Elrond is half of it has to do with the connections and the clout that they have, really, honestly. They do have a bigger developer team. They have some really good people that work on this project. So, but otherwise, yeah, they don't have the clout of a Gavin Wood, a Polkadot either. But yeah, Avalanche has gotten more recent capital infusion, and Solana obviously has all the big players. But Solana is like buying a stock or something. I mean, it's like buying stock in FTX is basically what Solana is at this point. And then Binance, I still think Binance is way overvalued, but it's also connected to the exchange. So it was a good coin way back when it was a lot lower market cap, but on the back of Binance, not smart contracts, Binance chain. On the back of the Binance chain, it doesn't deserve to be here. Now, I guess if it's, people really think Binance is that good of an exchange, then fine. All right. But allocating to Eagle is recommended over ADA right now because of room to grow. Yeah. And the hype too, right? So Cardano's got headwinds of developers trying to figure out the EUTXO model and a bunch of problems with building DEXs and stuff on it. It's a very different accounting model. Yeah, I mean it's UTXO, not accounting, right? So it's a very different model. for smart contracts to build on. So it's taking some time for people to kind of figure that out, work through those issues, and the Cardano team to help them. Elrond's the same accounting model, and WASM VM compatible with Ethereum, so it's much less difficult for people to switch from like Ethereum to Elrond than it is to switch from Ethereum to Cardano. Don't sleep on MATIC. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, MATIC should be top 10 for sure. I wouldn't so MATIC is definitely one that probably deserves to be ahead of Elrond. Sure. I mean, I could see Elrond out taking it. Just they're all deserve to be up there. Like Binance does not deserve to be top 10. Solana does not deserve to be top 10. XRP does not deserve to be top 10. Dogecoin does not deserve to be top 10. Shiba, Luna, none of those deserve to be top 10. You know, the ones that do are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot. There's 4. Avalanche probably deserves it. Chainlink 5, 6. MATIC 7. Chainlink 8. Elrond 9, and then I don't know, pick a 10th. Probably missing somebody big. I'm missing somebody big, but yeah, I mean that's a good list to me. I don't know anybody else on here that really deserves to be top 10. I'm looking right now, I don't see anybody else that I think deserves to be top 10, honestly. Loopring deserves to be up. But it's already up a lot. It doesn't deserve to be top 10, not even near. It doesn't have the same anywhere near the potential MATIC does with all the stuff MATIC's got going on. I could do something like the Sandbox or like Decentraland. Decentraland maybe top 10. That might be your 10th one right there. Steller or VeChain? Not VeChain. VeChain's great. I love VeChain, but VeChain already had its run. VeChain's too limited with it. It's a big industry, supply chain logistics, but it's not like, it doesn't have the same potential that like a layer 1 blockchain or something like a Decentraland has. And DEXs, none of the DEXs deserve to be top 10. Like ultimately in the big picture of things, none of the Uniswap, none of them are that big of a market. Right now they're a bigger thing because that's what crypto is mainly used for, is trading. But in the long run, they're not going to be big compared to some of these other bigger names. CRO, yeah, any coin that's attached to an exchange is ultimately like in the short term they can kind of get some hype and they can get up the list, but they don't have anywhere near the market potential of these layer 1 blockchains and or things like Chainlink or obviously Bitcoin. How about Cosmos? Maybe. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. It could. I wouldn't. I would be a lot less upset if Cosmos was top 10 or Steller was top 10 than Doge and XRP. That's for sure. Like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't complain too much about it. Think about it. Cosmos, like, literally, I think possibly outside of Ethereum, Cosmos is actually probably the second largest real world use blockchain, because, and it's not necessarily the chain itself, but it's the developer toolkit that people that have built on and connected to used Atom for interconnectivity. But Atom is a multi-chain, so there's a ton of a lot of the really big projects are actually built on Atom. So yeah, I mean from a value perspective, it definitely deserves to be up there. Steller, maybe. Stellar's a good project. It's underappreciated, that's for sure. So it's fun looking down the list. All right, I need to wrap up, man. I'm getting tired, and it's getting late. I've been going live for way too long. What's Bitcoin doing? Just chilling out right at that resistance. Just chilling out our 67, 699 fib level. Working on trying to break through there. See if it can. What's Litecoin doing? Also, I bet if I did a fib extension level on Litecoin, you'd get something similar going on here. Oh, goodness. My last fib extension is off of this over here. I'm going to have to do a daily. Yeah, okay. This is going to have to be a daily fib extension. Okay, Litecoin's got some room to go. 251's the next fib level. So, before, yeah, so yeah, we're not going, well, on the daily, the weekly, I guess we could probably, we're still probably going to chill out at 288 before we make it all the way up to 388. But you know what? The other thing too is like these smaller cap like cryptos, like Litecoin is like, it's not really a small cap crypto, but Litecoin is not necessarily going to respect these fib levels just because it can pump just on hype above and beyond any reasonable. But most likely it'll hit resistance at 250 and kind of cool off. We'll see. Yeah, Bitcoin's hanging out there, doing not a whole lot. What's our, we check funding rates before we go to bed here. Binance margin tokens getting a little bit hot, but you know what? Everything else is not that bad, so that's not too terribly bad. Let's take a look at the hourly volume here. If I can go down to the hourly, let's go down to a 7-day. See if I can get some hourly prints here. Let's see if we get a feel for what the last couple hours have done. So that breakout was pretty good volume. We've been really low volume as we've been banging our head against this resistance. So that volume profile is okay. We better see some volume tomorrow because right now, as of right now, it looks like the 8th is going to print lower volume. So the day that we broke the all-time high, we're going to print lower volume than this move up right here was higher volume than this. Just think about that. Just FYI, this whole move was higher volume than this. So that means that we haven't captured new buyers just yet. We're in an all-time high price discovery, but we haven't really captured any new buyers. There's no FOMO going on right now. It's not a lot of excitement. So tomorrow morning, if tonight we don't roll over and get below the all-time high, we're still above the all-time high, you know, if we create some headlines here, hopefully we get some more volume buying when New York comes in tomorrow. Because right now it's just kind of, this volume profile is not looking great. All right, guys. I've been going way too long. Back to Doge-wave. Let's go to bed. Good night, everybody. That was fun.